Should be. Yep. Hey guys, how's it going? MKS here, back with another video, and as I plan to do so, um, I'm on to part fourth and final part of Dyslexics to make/create/produce scary, creepy, macabre things or whatever, and that kind of thing. Scary/creepy/macabre things. And also I talked about some of my fears and that kind of thing. But anyway, this is part 4, the fourth and final part. And people who check out the YouTube version, I'm focusing on the Facebook screen, but people who check on the YouTube version, please rate my thumbnail out of 100. I'd love to know what you think about it. I tried to do a really creepy face. I put my head down and got some eyes, that kind of thing. Trying to look scary. But anyway, I don't need a mask for Halloween, but anyway. Yeah, there's a fourth and final part, and as I normally do, I thought I'd talk about I suppose my plans for the future and that kind of thing. In some cases, my nightmare vision for the future. But I talked about how I'm afraid of like AI and how it's going to be used. I'd love for AI to be ethical, especially because AI has the same acronym as Anglo-Indians like myself. Maybe Anglo-Indians could work on ethical AI as well as people like in Africa could work on what I call ethical AI and robotics, ethical robotics, and helpful and useful AI and robotics. That could be even names of companies, I think. I'd love for them to be part of what I call MKS enterprises, but to help people in Africa to build those robots and that kind of thing. In the past, I was always scared of people stealing my ideas, but I suppose probably still am, like implementing my ideas with giving me no credit for it. In the past, I wanted both to credit, the financial and the accreditation, whatever. But anyway, so these are pointers number 31 to 40. I'm sorry, it is a bit negative, but because it was the 13th, I know it's technically the 14th now, but I thought I'd finish it. My plan was to do part 3, because I didn't get around to it for the first video, so getting the worst out of the way, and then part 4 for 1300 hours, because I think it was like 1300 hours 1 to 2. I see as negative as well. Although I think that technically the devil's hour is supposed to be between 3 a.m. or something like that. Or supposedly between 3 and 6, although that would be 3 hours. So it wouldn't technically be the devil's hour. It would be the devil's hours. But anyway, here goes. So number 31. I guess, as I said before, I have first world fears, like about Italian teams entering or Celtic losing. I'm thinking of Celtic because Celtic are playing today, and that kind of thing, and also about not getting my ideas off the ground and things like that. And also I have fears about people suffering, or living things suffering, or things like that. I wish to God to make all living things happy, but my fears are obviously like people suffering, living things suffering, and I have a lot of time I have existential crisis. Existential crises about life. An existential crisis about life. Well, I suppose that's what it means about life itself. Like thinking like about negative thoughts about life not being worth it or whatever. Which I try and push to the back of my mind. But I suppose you could say you might as well make the most of it and hope for the best. But yeah, I wanted to finish this I wanted to work on this about 1 o'clock, so about half an hour later, just under half an hour later than planned. But I suppose I sometimes say I'm dyslexic, I need extra time, and I wonder if today's game between Celtic and St Mirren is going to go into extra time, because I said to my mum, I know nice like but I said to my mum she wanted some detergent. I'm sad I live with my mum, that's another sad thing about me. But I said, would you like me to get conditioner for the washing machine or whatever? And I said, would you like me to get it on the way back from football or whatever? I thought, especially if I'm running late, I can still get it on the way back as I'm going to that specific shop. And she said that shop will be shut by, well, she said 5, but it would actually be 4 because it's Sunday. I think some shops are open 24/7. But anyway, but yeah, I forgot that the kickoff is in the evening, so by the time I get back would be at the earliest probably about 5:30 or 6 o'clock. But I suppose if it goes into extra time, I didn't think about that because it's a cup game, it could conceivably go into extra time. I think the last I mean, I can't remember. I get mixed up between the Elite Cup and the Scottish League Cup or whatever. It's called the Premier League Cup or something. I get mixed up, but quite a few finals, obviously, in history anyway, and including in Scotland, have gone to all the way to extra time or even penalties. Like one would be quite good. I would say the negative one out of the way first. Like when we lost to Aberdeen, that went to penalties. Unfortunately, our captain missed the winning the penalty that helped them. Well, it was a winning penalty for them, Aberdeen, and then but we won in extra time in our last one against. Well, that was in the semi-final. Sorry, felt like final against the Rankers, as I call them, and we beat them in the final last season. And I think that's the one where I can't remember if it was we equalised the amount of trophies they won, or even when I think that's when we went one trophy ahead of them. I wish we could have been all three trophies ahead, but anyway, we got a treble. But moving on, in first world problems, but that was a bit negative when we didn't get a treble. But, moving on, number 32. I talked about changing the perceptions of, because in part 4 I like to do a recap on what I talked about in parts 1, 2 and 3, but I talked about changing perceptions of dyslexia, and I hope that dyslexics will be able to show what we can do with our creativity, at least some of us, like making / creating / designing / producing mass costumes and things like everything scary, creepy and macabre and that kind of thing. Scary, creepy and macabre. For Halloween and the 13th of each month. Hopefully starting in January, that would be pretty cool actually. It would be quite fitting because I thought obviously it's the 13th. Well, yes, yesterday technically, so I've missed out on that one. But hopefully from the 13th of January, whatever day that is, it'd be pretty cool if the 13th of each month, and especially when it falls on a Friday and on Halloween as well itself, dyslexics sort of made those things and showed what we can make or create. Some dyslexics or whatever, who are good with their hands or whatever. So it could be art, it could be mass costumes, decorations or whatever, as I talked about before. But making things, creating things, being creative and that kind of thing. In this case, in a scary / creepy / macabre way. But also, I mentioned it could open up opportunities for careers, whether that's in the special effects industry or whatever, scary movies or whatever, makeup and design, or selling masks and costumes. Obviously that could be good to sell on eBay or in superstores or in different stores or things like that, or even opening up our own stores and selling them ourselves, or both of those sorts of things, or all of those sorts of things, or a combination of things. But it'd be interesting to see what career opportunities it could open up. And is number 13. Number 33, I wish your life was more free, thinking in a negative way a little bit, but I guess there can never be 100% freedom, especially with 8 billion or so people, 7 or 8 billion people, or whatever it is in the world, like even 1 billion people, because to me, freedom means being able to do whatever you want to do without, depending on the level of freedom, be able to do what you want to do, or more of what you want to do. If you're 100% free doing anything you want to do, anything and everything, without the fear of reprisals and or repercussions, and not having to do what you don't want to do without fear of reprisals and repercussions. I find most people quite bossy, which is probably why I have cats and dogs sometimes, but even they sometimes try to tell you, like, feed me, which is understandable. But like what they bark at you or meow at you or whatever. But yeah, I suppose they technically can't tell you what to do, same as people, I guess. But I suppose if we're 100% free, I don't know if I should give this example, but I'm trying to think of it in the politest possible way. I can explain, like, if my definition is one you take and you say, yeah, freedom is, if you agree with me on that, like saying freedom is doing whatever you want to do and not having to do what you don't want to do without the fear of reprisals and repercussions. Because some people say you're free to do whatever you want to do, but not free from the repercussions of your actions. But then you would say, well, okay, then I'll be as free in Iran or North Korea as I would be in Britain or America or elsewhere. But actually, you can say, well, okay, you can do whatever you want, but they'd arrest you. So if you're not free from the repercussions of something, then I don't think you're free to do that thing. It's free, like, I disagree with your opinion, but I'll defend your right to that opinion. That's when it's freedom of speech, freedom of expression is most pertinent. That's the word I want to use. But is most apt, because then it's something anyone can pretty much anyone can, I'm sure, probably anyone can agree with something they support something they agree with, defend the right to a speech they agree with. Like if someone supports higher taxes, then of course they're going to say, well, I agree with this person's right to free speech. But if you support higher taxes and then you say to someone about someone who supports lower taxes, then you defend. You say, I don't agree with your opinion, but I will defend your right to that opinion. As a libertarian, like privatization, deregulation of industries, lower taxes, and more personal choices, and things like that. But the example I was giving, I went off a bit on tangents, but one thing is I fear being misunderstood as well, people not understanding my ideas or plans or thoughts or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't agree with it morally, but let's say a guy wanted to touch women without their permission. If he was free, then women would be less free. Or if people who want to tell women what to do, their freedom would violate someone else's freedom. So to make 7 or 8 billion people free, I think, is probably not possible, because some people would try and violate other people's freedom. So I think you should be free to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't violate other people's freedom. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, including on my sanity or lack thereof, please fire away in the comments. But I can't promise to answer them, but I'll do my best. I can only promise to do my best. But moving on, number 34. Another fear I have in life is about wars. I wish dyslexics could not join militaries or gangs or terrorism or anything that's violent unless in self-defense, and stroke or anything that supports wars. I think it's a shame like people like Donald Trump want to increase military spending and things like that, like the military-industrial complex, wars, the weapons trade force, and things like that. But what do you think? Do you agree with me or not? I'd love to know. Hopefully you won't be too harsh or rude, but please feel free to disagree. Number 35. Yeah, I fear not being able to focus as well. One of the things I was thinking about is if I go a whole day, I don't want to preempt this, but if I go a whole day without being called or distracted at all, without people calling my name or distracting me, basically to avoid distractions. Some of those distractions I place on myself by watching too many cat videos or things like that, for instance, on YouTube or whatever, or Facebook or whatever. But if I could go a whole day without distractions, that would be pretty cool if I could hyper focus. Number 36, another freedom I wish God would give us is like freedom to be able to sleep with whoever we look like, as long as they're of legal age and not related by blood and it's consensual. And in my case, as long as I don't have to pay. But yeah. Moving on. Number 37, as I say, first world fears about Italian teams and or Celtic losing, heaven forbid. I mean, this is a final, so it's really important, I think. And I really hope that the manager puts 100% effort into helping us win this. I mean, to not win it would be unthinkable. I think he's already under a lot of pressure because a lot of people didn't want him at Celtic. They don't think he's worth at that level. And I think some of the things he said have sort of really put a lot of supporters on edge, including myself, I guess, because he said like it's not about winning, but it's not a mentality to have at Celtic. A club like Celtic, we've got to win so many games, and we can afford to lose 1 or 2, but we really want to, domestically at least, we want to win almost every game we play. So there's a lot of pressure. So I hope he knows that and finds out that very quickly. He doesn't seem to know that, but I hope he finds it very quickly. Maybe some people need to tell him like at Celtic it is winning, and then the performance comes secondary. And of course you can lose a few games, and hopefully supporters won't get on their back as long as they can see what you're doing or whatever, see what strategy you're trying to implement. But yeah, I hope he learns very quickly, preferably from today in a positive way. But I was thinking whoever wins this prize, I'm thinking more of the negative stuff, but whoever wins this prize, again, hope I'll be able to implement my ideas, but whoever wins this prize today, I think it's 400k prize money, which is not a lot, but for like an EPL team, Premier League team or other leagues, but for Scottish football, I guess it's the amount. But that would be a lot to contribute to Japan, I was thinking about, because this month they've unfortunately gone through earthquakes, potential tsunamis and things like that. And I do fear like that's another thing about charities. I fear another fear I have is like whether they give the money to those who need it the most and it actually reaches those who need it. But yeah, I think whoever wins the prize money, I think should donate it to the people of Japan. Maybe even like all sorts of sports teams that win prizes could say, as a gesture of goodwill, we're going to donate it to the people of Japan. But even if St. Mirren beat us, heaven forbid, and they did do that, I don't know if it would cushion the blow a bit, but it would still be painful. But at least, I suppose, at least the rankers won't win because we beat them in the semis. So at least there's that. But I think we shouldn't be too complacent and like rest on our laurels. We've got to improve all the time. I say we as a support. Number 38. I guess I focus a bit too much on the negatives. But I wish God would give us allowance to have free loving. I wish we could go back to the 60s and have free loving. Anywho, number 39. I think robots, as I say, could be the best invention ever. They could set humanity free, but my fear is they won't. Also, I wish I could avoid writer's block and get my thoughts on the paper. And I hope to help dyslexics and dysgraphics who struggle with writing to find a way to express themselves, to find a way to express ourselves. I know my difficulties are different to most dyslexics because I learned how to spell, but I sort of guess where punctuation should go and these bad habits, terrible habits, and that kind of worst punctuation in the world. But for some dyslexics, it might be low self-esteem, like due to their spelling or whatever. Obviously, with spell check, it helps. Say Grammarly helps, I'm sure, for a lot of people. ChatGPT, someone told me I should use ChatGPT, but I was struggling to find a way. It's not that I didn't try, but I struggle. Sometimes it probably comes across and I don't try, but I am a creature of habit. And also, I did struggle because I tried to sign up for it, but I couldn't find like a link when I sent an email. So I tried to check my junk mail, but I didn't seem to find that. I think he thought I was making up excuses, but he told me it would be a game changer to use ChatGPT. But yeah, tools like that could probably help a lot of dyslexics, and also finding ghostwriters and people like that. I suppose preferably ones who are like they don't have to pay, like your partner or your family, friends, or whatever. They could help to write. Those are good writers. So some people, I want to say use, but not use, utilize. Unfortunately, people do use their partners, but that's a shame. I don't think people should use each other. But English language, one word can mean many different things, I guess. But some utilize their partner to help them to write or whatever, help them edit stuff or whatever, even in business, like business plans, things like that. Some dyslexic people can ask their partners, their boyfriends or girlfriends or wives or husbands or whatever, can you write this out for me, or can you sort these papers out for me, or can you read this for me, or whatever. So there are different ways around it. I think a network could really help with that. Although I'm stuck in a dilemma because I'm trying to talk about all the negatives, but I guess there are solutions. Maybe there are solutions to every problem. Some say don't listen to a pessimist, they find a problem to every solution. But anyway. And number 40, so yeah, I suppose those are some of my fears, but also some of the, maybe in January, I'll talk on the 13th, if I remember, as I said yesterday, I might talk about like 40 of my fears or whatever in this usual format. But I hope other dyslexics and maybe even dysgraphics and dyscalculics or whatnot, even dyspraxics, can make /create /produce whatever they can and show what they can do and show their creativity, and posting videos like this on the link or whatever, either on Facebook, Anthropic, or YouTube, and maybe in the future on TikTok, and share their creativity, their creative creations, and that kind of thing. But so turn it into a positive. I think that's what I'm going to say. Just try and remember if there's something else I was going to cover. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. So anyway, peace and love. I think I'm doing better at shortening the video, but I do struggle quite a lot. At least it's gone down from half an hour to about 20 minutes or whatever. But anyway, peace and love. Hope you have a great time wherever you are. And come on, Celtic.